Welcome back to another episode of Oxygen Not Included, everybody. Did some redesigning here in our adaptable vessel. First of all, I changed up the rooms. So this is now redesigned a little bit so that it's still 12 tiles, but I jammed some other stuff in here just to make room. I moved the rocket control station down into here and reshaped this room so it's 32 tiles, so that it can be a great hall. I had to put the manual generator in this room, which means we lose the washroom room type, but losing the washroom lost one morale for our duplicate that is in our astronaut. Our duplicate that is our astronaut in the rocket, but the Great Hog added 3 extra because it's 6 instead of 3, so we gained an extra 2 basically. The other thing I did is that of course I have an autosave right now, but I took Toby's skill points and I changed them around so that she has less of a need for morale. I've been letting her stay in here just for a little while, just to see what her morale is after a little bit of time in here. So as soon as this autosave is done, I will check out her skill points and we will see what her stress levels are at. Or her morale is at, I should say. Stress levels at 0, so that's a good sign. But here we go. So what I did is I got rid of all the research because I don't need that anymore. So she doesn't need a huge amount of morale. She only needs 7. And with the break she's on, the meal, that's still this is her old one from when she was on vacation. So I gotta let it run for a little bit. But she's gonna lose 5 shift break, but she'll gain Great Hall, and she'll gain the bedroom. So she should be fine as far as her morale. We'll find out. Because today we are going to send her out exploring. But before we do that, I also want to show a couple of minor changes I made around here. One is that I kept having issues where I would drop hot items into the storage here and then the water would get evaporated. And I'm trying to make sure I don't put any hot items into the storage, but it still happens from time to time. So what I did is I made a system that brought all the eggs up to here, and so all the meat is dropped off into here, and so are all the eggs, and so they just sit in there. Duplicates can still grab them when they need to refill the incubators, but they will turn into meat, and then I don't even have to move them up here. They just stay in there. And this auto sweeper was added so that I can grab the meat, put it right into here without a duplicate having to grab it. Just saved me a little step. So that's the change I made down here. I also redid a lot of the stuff up here at our rocket. I redirected a lot of our piping. Actually, I still need to put this bridge back and reconnect this pipe. But the idea is that some of these pipes will get hit with rocket blast as we land and take off, but for the majority they'll be safe. If I need to, I can put an insulated wall in to keep them fine, but I'm hoping that means we won't have any problems with the heat causing issues in our piping that we've had in the past. I reconnected the water line up to the top now that I moved where the Spacefarer module is, and I have a pipe to empty it. I don't need that there because I'm not using anything that empties, but just in case I need it in the future, I built it back up, because why not? So, and then I added in an exhaust vent and brought up our oxygen. So when the rocket is here, it fills itself up with oxygen. I can vent out the carbon dioxide, and so this way, if people are in there doing work, even if they take their suit off, I don't need to worry about supplying the oxygen, so I'm not using up the algae while I'm sitting there. it's doing just fine. So let's take a look at Toby again just to see should our morale should have changed. I guess we still haven't made it through a day, but that's okay. But even with she's now on her regular schedule, so she has the 4-shift break instead of the 5-shift break. Even without her boost from the Great Hall and the barracks, she is meeting her morale needs. So she shouldn't gain any extra stress while she's in space. So in order to do a launch, all I need to do is clear our launch path, which means we need to retract our gantry, and we need to open our bunker doors. It's going to take a moment. And while we're doing that, we're going to set a new destination. So let's change our destination. I want to check out what is at this tile. The rocket should now be ready to launch. Everything's good. We have 20 tiles of range, and everything is set. So we're just going to launch. And we have 2 goals on this space mission. That is to explore and find out what is at that tile that we saw, and to just do kind of a long test to see if stress is an issue. Because the last time we went into space, stress was a real problem, and we want to find out if that is still an issue. So this is going to take a while. Traveling out there, and then we'll just leave it sitting there for a little while and see and keep an eye on the stress to see how Toby is doing. She has everything she needs as far as her rad pills. She actually has a ton of food because I moved this refrigerator and the food fell down. I realized I could probably gain 2 extra squares here if I needed to, because I could just deconstruct the refrigerator once it's full and have the food on the floor. It doesn't spoil, so it doesn't need to be anywhere. But I think this will work out fine. There's not much for Toby to do while we're in space, so she's just going to chill here, and hopefully her stress doesn't go up. While we're waiting for that to work, I'm going to do some more work back on the main colony, and I'll come back to you once our rocket has made it to our destination. Made a change here in our power sauna. This pipe that was connected to the crude oil loop that was up here, that was taking out all the heat, I emptied it back into that system. I changed some of the piping around, and created this entire loop has connected to here, so the polluted water is now cycling through the top part. I have to check to see that I have enough polluted water in here, and I do. This is full, so it'll fill the pipe up. Once all this oil backs out of this system, I'll connect it up here even farther so that it goes over here to this side. That way this polluted water can hopefully cool down all of the power equipment. I don't know if it's going to be enough to do it. We'll find out. But I don't mind if this heats back up, because right now this is very cold. If it equalizes the temperature out and I get like a nice medium heat, that'll be fine. But for now, it's going to bring a lot of this heat from up here down into our slicksters, and they're fine. They'll be able to handle it. They can actually handle the heat better than they can the cold. So we'll let that go for a while. But while we're doing that, actually, let me finish this last little section of pipe now that the oil has all emptied out. And we can let it keep going. So I'm just going to connect this here to this side and this here. And then that way the polluted water will cycle all the way down here to get these power transformers as we go. But while we were working on that, our rocket arrived, and you can see that we discovered a new planetoid at that location in space. Toby's stress has been fine. She's doing great. She's just chilling in her little rocket. She couldn't be happier. So the changes we made were very successful. So let's go back to the star map. This is the new asteroid we found. It's called Rosalind. So, new planetoid detected. Let's take a look at it. Small location with an abundance of marshland. While marshy asteroids offer an abundance of organic resources like slime, mold, and algae, their air quality poses a significant disease risk for duplicates. It's got higher lux and higher rads. This one has a tungsten volcano. The carbon dioxide vent and the chlorine gas vent I don't really care about. It's got a jungle. It's got magma biome, space biome, and then the marsh, like it said. So let's go down and see it. We're not going to see much, just the surface again, but you can see right there we have an artifact there. But looks like we have a nice spot to set up a landing. Let's go back to our star map. We won't see too much until we get a rocket on the ground. But let's take a look at our rocket. Our rocket has 16 tiles left. So we need to be able to return, but I think we could make it all the way to this object. No problem. This would be an extra 4. That would give us 12 back. And that's fine. So let's send the rocket off to discover this object as well. I'm specifically looking to see if I can find a mass field or an asteroid where I can get the things I need to make supercoolant, because that's my next goal. Actually, let's go back to our main colony. To make the supercoolant, I started setting up a little bit of a molecular forge down here. To do it, we need to combine fullerene with gold and petroleum. Gold and petroleum I have plenty of. Fullerene is made by combining graphite, sulfur, and aluminum. I have plenty of sulfur. I'll have to set up a renewable source of it at some point if I want to do large amounts of this, but I have plenty for now. But I don't have graphite, so what I need to do is locate some graphite. Yeah, just looking to see if there's anything I wasn't aware of. Interesting. Okay, so that's what we're exploring for. The other thing we would need as from space is the to make thermium. We need niobium. We already found niobium. We just need to find a way to get into it on that asteroid. And then we need iso resin so that we can make insulation and viscogel. So those are the things we're out looking for. If we go back here, I'm still playing around with this, but I want to automate the molecular forge. I may actually just set up multiple ones, but because it's going to be a pain. But what I have right now is a system similar to what I have on the automation over in the other industrial block that I want to continue when I move it over here. And it uses smart storage bin and regular storage bin, and I'll do that for, these will hold each of the 3 solids that I can make in here: fullerene, insulation, and thermium. And then I can control how much of them I want, and I have it set up so that it'll send a green signal to here when it's full, and then if all 3 of them are full, it'll just shut down the molecular forge. I don't know how that'll work, because it may end up making things I don't want. But honestly, I think this might be overkill. I'm not going to need such large amounts that I can't just queue up the amount that I need. So, we'll see. I may change this around, make it much simpler in the future. But we are still just going to keep exploring space during this episode and keep working on some minor changes. Let's check out how this coolant loop is doing. Okay, so it did fill the loop up for the most part. It's coming back around down here. But this water is now coming through. Well, it's actually coming through pretty cool. Why is... Oh, because it's been... Oh, that's interesting. So it took the heat from up here and it then picked up the chill in here and heated up some of this air. And the net gain is it's coming in here at 9 degrees. It's heating up through this entire loop up to, let's see, if we go up here, go through there, go back around, it gets up to 86 degrees. By the time it gets back down here, it's back down to 17 again. So we're only gaining 8 degrees here, which we can handle very quickly with this system. So we'll let it keep running and see how the temperatures go in this area. But it looks like we should be able to cool this area off a lot. The one thing that's going to happen that I need to watch out for is that while I have most of the steam out of here, I'm still pumping away, but I have most of it out. It's just a layer at the top. If I cool this down enough, that steam is going to turn into water, which means it's going to get into our collection system at the bottom. Now, as far as it going through over here, I have this set up with the filter so that this filters out anything but crude oil and drops it out. So I'm not worried about the water getting in to the pipes from this pump, but what it will be an issue is if that water condenses and gets onto the bottom row here, we will have issues with the slicksters not being able to be put in these rooms. And I have a very small amount of slicksters. I wonder if that's because of the temperature in here. So we'll have to look into that. But I haven't really been worrying about it so much because of how many calories I have. Wait, why do I all of a sudden only have 1 million calories? Is my deep freeze having issues again? What the heck happened there? That's calorie generation, calories removed. It did have another power spike where power cut out a little while ago. I hope I didn't have a large amount of calories just disappear. Either way, I'm back up to 1 million, so it seems to be working again, but looks like if it did happen, it happened a long time ago. Anyway, there's nothing I can do about it when it did happen. But I was up to like 40 million calories, and now I'm only at 1 million. Or wait, is it? I don't know. I'll just keep an eye on it. Okay. Well, we'll keep an eye on that when we'll let the space exploration keep going, and I will be back after we discover something else to show you. So, our rocket made it to its destination. It's not a new asteroid, which is okay, but it is a nice asteroid field, which means it'll be a source for carbon dioxide, ice, and oxygen if we need it. I did grab an artifact while I was there, so that'll be brought back and we can analyze it. And I have the rocket going back through some unexplored space to return. Once we get back, we'll refuel the rocket. We're going to send it back out. We're just going to keep repeating that process to get all these unknown objects detected, and then we'll spread out to the edges of the star map. So we're slowly getting that all mapped out. While that was finishing up, exactly what I expected to happen in here did happen. The temperatures evened out. You can see they're cooling down at the top, and they're coming up to higher temperatures in the bottom, which is actually good. I want this to all be evened out at the same temperature because the slicksters were not doing well in cold temperatures. I did look through it, and I did have some power spikes, which caused me to lose some of the barbecue. Not too big a deal. Things will get balanced back out. But when this cooled down, all the steam that was left, which was not much because I got most of it out, got condensed in here into water. And so now water got into our polluted water drain at the top, which we'll have to take care of. Water got down here in the bottom where the slicksters are, which we'll have to take care of. And the only real long-term problem, other than cleaning up some water, is that I don't have a filter on the polluted water coming down here. And so some water is getting into the crops down here for the reed fiber. So I'm going to let it just keep running while it pumps out all the water from the top. And then at the end, I'll go through and pull out the water once this is back to operating. I think that this will mostly fix itself. Eventually that polluted water, because it's coming in at a pretty solid rate, will force all the water out. I'll keep mopping it up off the top. And, it'll just get pumped out until it's gone. If, I might need to change, actually, what I can do is, let's change this. Oh, I already have it set if this is above zeros, but, so this is just pumping all the time, which is good. It'll pump all this out for me until this is all gone. You can see it's having problems with the fact that the polluted water and the water is not really happy about mixing in here, but we'll get it all sorted over time. This area, I don't know that the slicksters are going to create enough oil to push this water out, but it'll be fine for the time being because the oil coming from here will find its way to get down into here, and then all this water that slowly gets pulled out will get filtered through and dropped out. So we can see it dropping out over here. So that'll fix itself. We don't need to worry about it too much. In order to fix our problem with our slickster population going down, we turned on our one row of incubators again. So now we have eggs actively being incubated. So they'll hatch much faster, and we'll get more slicksters to fill this population up here back up. I don't want to leave that on too long because we're already having issues with power going from before even that happened. So that's an issue. So the two things that I want to work on in the future based on this problem is I realized that when there's a power issue, we're losing some power to our deep freeze system, and we end up losing some food in here. And that's an issue. I don't want to lose calories. So this system down here, it's paramount that this stays on no matter what. So I'm going to have to come up with a way to make it so that even when I have like brownouts in power, this system stays on. And I'll probably do the same for the oxygen system when I relocate some of that stuff. So that's something when we're rebuilding everything here, that's a system I want to develop and put in. I want to have it so that if the power gets low, the non-vital systems get shut off first. But these systems never go off, the ones that produce oxygen and that provide cooling to our deep freeze. Because that's really important that we don't lose our calories and our oxygen. So that's something for us to change in the future. But for now, we're going to continue on with our exploration and let some of these problems work themselves out. Get this stabilized so that we have our food getting built back up. And we'll go from there. But I think we're going to call it for today on this episode. Between this episode and the next one, I'm just going to do some exploration now that you've seen how this is all working. And we'll just get all these question marks all answered. Find out what is out here in our little galaxy, our corner of the world. And then when we come back, we will have probably work on setting up a colony on one of these asteroids. I'm still waiting to see which one I want to do first based on what all we have out here. But that's probably going to be the next thing we work on after we finish exploring. So I hope you enjoyed watching the episode. If you did, hit that like button. Hit the subscribe so you can see more. And as always, leave me a comment if you have any feedback or anything like that. It's always very much appreciated. And I will see you in the next episode. Bye-bye.